So, thank you for being here.
I'm delighted to be here. A little tough to follow Sean Parker, though.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I think you'll do all right. You've had a very big month at eBay. Last week you had your developers conference called Innovate, and you announced a sort of integrated platform, and seemed to be taking eBay from what I think people always understood it to be as an auction-based place to buy and sell almost anything, to more of a technology-based platform company. Is that fair?
It's a very good characterization.
So unpack that for me. Tell me what XCommerce is.
Well, if we step back, what we see happening in the world of shopping and payments is somewhat analogous to what's happened to digital media in the last really only 3-4 years, especially since the iPads come out, where consumers are driving enormous change in how they shop and pay. And in particular, the wall between e-commerce and retail is crumbling stunningly fast. So that how when you walk into a store today, you may pull out your mobile device, you may start checking red laser and checking prices and doing product exploration, product inventory. And so there's going to be an enormous amount of change in retail. And as we looked out about how we could both best drive that change and enable that change, we realized that we couldn't do it all ourselves. And so what we're doing is we're taking all the assets we've got, eBay, PayPal, GSI, Magento, and we're putting them all into one common platform and opening it up for third-party developers. So it's the first open commerce ecosystem or commerce operating system so that developers or merchants can get the services they want to drive this kind of future of shopping.
So give me an example of how this platform enables something that doesn't exist now or will exist soon.
Well, take a shopping experience today. Take Toys R Us showed an application last week where you can say I'm over at your house and you've got your PlayStation and I really like it. So you can now take a photograph of the UPC code on red laser and say you can see all the different people online that sell that item and what the price is, and then you can now see what retailers have it locally and say you want to get it right away. And so Toys R Us is in essence advertising on this.
And so that list of retailers is from your acquisition of Milo?
From Milo. So Milo, all of Toys R Us inventory in every store is uploaded, and with one click you buy it with PayPal, and you can either have it shipped home or you go pick it up in the store. And what retailers really want is they want to bring people into the store, and it turns out an awful lot of shoppers for certain items want to go into stores. Right. So again, this boundary between online and offline is blurring, and consumers are embracing this, and retailers need help.
Well, it used to be that, as we watched the percentage of, global or U.S. retail, we would watch kind of e-commerce creep from 1% to 2% to 4% to where it is now, I think about 5% or so.
Right.
But I think what you're auguring is, no, it doesn't matter. It's all e-commerce.
Well, that's exactly what's changed in the last 12 to 18 months. So if you think about offline retail, if you were to walk into the Nordstrom down the street here today and walk in and buy something and pay for it, it's more or less the same experience than if you had walked into that Nordstrom 20 years ago. Right? Retail has been a fairly separate and distinct, and not a whole lot of innovation. As where e-commerce has kind of grown up as a fairly innovative space and growing in a fairly separate way. But what's changed in particular over the last 12 to 18 months is in over half of all retail transactions today, the consumer accesses the web at some point in the shopping cycle, be it to do product research, be it to find what they want to buy, be it to actually buy it or pay for it. And increasingly, they're accessing the web while they're in the store.
Right.
And they want, it's interesting, we're going to do almost $4 billion of volume on the eBay mobile app this year. 50 million people have downloaded it. And you say that's stunning. $4 billion of volume closed on the mobile app, $3.5 billion of PayPal mobile payments. But when we go look at the consumer behavior of what they're actually doing, This is just one more screen, one device for them in a shopping experience. In many of those cases, maybe they've looked on their laptop or desktop.
Right.
They've looked on their mobile phone at some point. They've gone to the store. And when they look back and you say, well, what did you do where? They say, I don't remember. I was just shopping.
But in other words, it strikes me that their physical shopping experience or their shopping experience, you mentioned this idea of, I think in one of your press releases, like take a picture of a pair of shoes and you've got an image search that can find those shoes across the entire eBay listings. What about that, isn't fixed yet? What's the opportunity? Where, because it strikes me that that's cool, but not, is it real yet, or is this more forward-looking?
Well, think about shopping online. Shopping is today, search is a very word-based metaphor.
Right.
And so that may make sense when you're shopping for a new iPhone. I want the iPhone 4GS. That lends itself to shopping, or to words. When you're shopping for a blue shirt, typing blue shirt, that's not a word metaphor. You want to have a visual experience. You want to see all the blue shirts and then identify what's the one that has my size and then what's the one I like. So on eBay, we've developed image search. So if you look at any of the soft good categories, fashion, on eBay, you can search by images. So you say, I like the look of that shirt. Now go into the inventory and find all the shirts that look like that.
Right. That's
if you extend that on the mobile device, by the end of the year, we'll have it so you'll be able to, like your shoes. I take a picture of your shoes, and it brings back all the inventory that matches that. And so I think image-based search will be a big step in allowing shopping to go even further.
When we spoke earlier, you said, and you've said it in other press accounts, that you want eBay to be the sort of operating system for commerce.
Right.
Right? Which is it's a grand vision, to be the operating system for commerce. I remember Eric Schmidt here about 4 or 5 years ago saying that he only wanted 20% of the global GDP. It strikes me now that, you're talking about 100% of the global GDP. How do you make money in that?
Well, let's be clear here. So e-commerce is a $325 billion market. All of retail's $10 trillion. So, and with that blurring line, all of a sudden, the markets become $10 trillion. You don't need to capture a whole lot of market share. You don't need 20% market share to have a strong and sustainable business. And how we make money is we have 3 platforms that monetize today. PayPal, for every transaction that goes through PayPal, we make money.
Right.
Whether it's on the web, on a mobile device, or next year, offline, in point-of-sale environments. You can use PayPal. eBay is an incremental channel.
Right.
Every time an offline retailer uploads their inventory onto eBay, and if it sells through eBay, we make money. So we have the monetization vehicles, and we're taking our platform and just pushing out the
as much usage of the platform as possible.
Right. And what's interesting is who's driving this is the large retailers. The large retailers are banging down our doors saying, we see this world's changing, and it's changing very quickly, and we're retailers. We're not technologists. Technology is going to have a huge impact on our future, and we need help.
And this is one of the reasons that you bought the GSI Commerce platform, so the CEO of which was here in previous Web 2s. And that acquisition, it struck me, had something to do with not responding to, but preparing for battle with your largest competitor, which would be Amazon. How do you differentiate yourself from Amazon?
Well, the first thing I'd say, John, is that retail is an enormous market, and it's not going to be a zero-sum winner-take-all market. Think about retail in the external world, or in the offline world. Walmart is the largest retailer in the world. It's got over 2 million employees, a huge company, a juggernaut. And they have single digits market share in retail. So retail is a huge market, and it varies by category, it varies by geography, it varies by shopping format. So I don't view this, and I don't think Jeff views this as a zero-sum thing.
Right.
And Amazon's a strong company and obviously going to be an important online retailer.
Right.
What we intend to do is we intend to enable commerce with all the other retailers. And eBay and PayPal have always done that for smaller businesses. The classic eBay seller, right, was someone started their business and grew a small business. Someone got PayPal so you could trade cross-border, a small business in China trading cross-border somewhere else. So it's always been our heritage to be, in essence, a trading platform that enables those. And what's new is we're now going to be doing that for larger retailers as well,
Right.
because they want help. And I think there'll be multiple winners in this new commerce environment. It's not e-commerce, it's not retail, it's commerce.
But how are you different from Amazon?
Well, to begin with, we don't compete with the people that sell on our platform. And we are not a retailer, we never have been, and we never will be. And ultimately, what these sellers are telling us is that makes a difference.
Right.
They want someone they can trust to help them come online, to help them embrace this commerce environment. And the fact that we'll never compete with them is an important differentiator in their minds.
So when I look at what Amazon's doing, you know, they're almost starting to build out their own universe. They've got the tablets. My guess is if you're on an Amazon tablet, you know, and you're doing some shopping, I'm gonna guess that eBay may not come up first.
Well, that'll be for them to decide. What consumers are saying is consumers want to see what they want, when they want it, how they want it.
So are you concerned about that, or are you going to launch your own tablet?
No, I mean, tablet's most relevant if you're a digital goods provider.
Right.
We're not a digital goods provider. We don't provide primary digital goods the way Apple does or the way Amazon does.
That's fair.
And so the tablet's just one more screen in a consumer's purchasing behavior. You know, you've got the laptop or desktop, you've got your mobile device, you've got a tablet, you've got your TV, and increasingly you'll be accessing all of those in hopefully an increasingly seamless way. That's what consumers are saying they want, and that's what we're focused on delivering.
So I'm going to tack away from Amazon. I'm sorry for digging in so hard. So let's talk about Google. I'm sorry, but do you consider Google, I mean, so Google is a platform company. I think that's fair to say, starting with search and moving into others. But they have made a lot of noise, you know, in the wallet space, and I think that they're pretty serious about, they have their own, you know, Milo-like product in terms of inventory, and they have a local play, and they want to, you know, I think they're very interested in aggregating all that inventory and making it saleable, and then having Google Checkout be how you pay for it. Do you consider them to be a focused competitor?
Well, I'd say two things. One, I think the story of the web is not one of zero-sum competition. So we don't spend a lot of time worrying about zero-sum competition. We spend more time trying, how do we take our assets and innovate around those?
Right.
And the second thing, and I'd agree with what Sean said earlier, if you think about it, Google has a tremendous advertising platform. Facebook's got a tremendous social platform. eBay and PayPal have a shopping and payments platform. And network effects are powerful things.
Right.
And so take payments, you know, PayPal's got 100 million active digital wallets today, each of which have two financial instruments in them, and it's in the cloud. It's been cloud-based from the beginning.
Right.
And it's, you know, accepted all over the world, $125 billion of volume with less than 0.2% loss. And in payments, risk is there, very real in there. And so we're focused on driving PayPal forward and taking it to the mobile device and taking it to the offline world. And there'll be lots of innovation. There'll be lots of innovation in payments or lots of innovation in commerce, as in advertising, as in social. But we feel pretty good about having a strong starting point in shopping and payments, and that's where we're going to really double down and try to extend our network effects leadership.
Now, one company that you seem to be on overtly friendly terms with is Facebook. Katie Middick is joining your board, Facebook executive. Can you explain what that relationship is and where it might go? When I posted on my site calling for questions, a number of the questions said, when do we get full integration between eBay and Facebook so that we can, you know, show our purchases off and so on and so forth?
Yeah. Well, we have a good relationship and a strong partnership with Facebook. And it started around payments. It started around linking PayPal to Facebook credits because Facebook was quite clear they didn't want to get into that deep payments capability that PayPal has. And now around social commerce, which is right at the beginning. If you think about shopping as a very social experience in the offline world, you go to the mall with your family and friends. And online, the social experience and the shopping experience has still been fairly separate. And so we've talked extensively with Facebook about how we experiment together. What's interesting is to date, initially Facebook Connect was going to bring the social experience into shopping environments, and consumers didn't take to it. It's initially they said, I'm here to shop, not to be with my friends. And now with Canvas, you try to bring the shopping experience to Facebook and say, I'm here with my friends, how do I integrate shopping? And the reality is, I don't think there's going to be any silver bullet one-stop shop solution. I think you're going to see a lot of experimentation over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months, and how young women want to shop and socialize around clothing is going to be different than how 40-year-old men that are car enthusiasts want to shop around motorcycles and cars. And so what we'll be doing with Facebook and with others is a series of experiments where we bring in the open graph into the eBay experience and find ways to bring the eBay experience into the Facebook environment. And, you know, consumers will decide. I think you'll see 12 months from now, you'll see lots of seeds growing, and 24, 36 months from now, you'll see some great examples of social shopping.
Right. You're not concerned at all that Facebook may decide, yeah, Donahoe's in a pretty good business. Thanks for teaching us everything, John. I think we're going to go on our own now and make Facebook credits a full payment infrastructure.
You know, I mean,
it's happened before. I remember when Eric joined Steve's board, and then things didn't work out with that whole Android iPhone thing.
Yeah. You know, to date, the story of the web is people are very good at what they started at.
Yeah,
Back to what I said earlier.
Yeah,
Google's good at search and advertising. Facebook's good at social.
Yeah.
PayPal is great at payments.
Yeah.
eBay's good at commerce. And you know, I think increasingly what we're recognizing is how do we let the Facebook platform and the X.commerce or eBay PayPal platform work together, and how can third-party developers build really cool applications that make sense for consumers?
Well, those are two platforms that will be mashed up in interesting ways, I'm quite sure. Questions for John, please. Come up to the microphones on either side, as before. I wanted to ask you, we spoke about this before, and I thought you really had an interesting insight, and I think international is on people's mind, and your company is as international as they come.
Right.
But as with many companies, you've had an interesting relationship with China. Yeah. And you explain to me how you see China, and I'd love for this group to hear your sort of that domestic versus export story.
Sure. I think, at least with respect to the internet, we look at China in two ways. We look at the domestic China market for an internet-based service, and we think it's in essence closed. That the Chinese government is not going to allow a non-Chinese internet company to succeed in China, because the Chinese government views the internet as a matter of national security. It's a weapon in the 21st century, you know, national security games and wars and race. And so they feel more comfortable having local companies win. And we've experienced this. The other leading global multinational internet companies have. You're at a disadvantage there.
Right.
That said, what we're very focused on is connecting China to the world. And so, and connecting the world to China. So we've got over $6 billion of volume this year of Chinese sellers selling to people outside of China. And so the 100 million active consumers we have like to buy things from China, and so PayPal enables that, and eBay enables that. Yep. And then increasingly we'll be bringing non-Chinese goods into China as more and more Chinese consumers want luxury branded goods and have the income and means to access that.
But it's just interesting to hear you say, well, first of all, that coming out, that's working and growing.
Absolutely.
But you're not spending a lot of your time trying to set up eBay China.
No, because it's, you know, I think it's going to, there'll be stages.
Right.
You know, and we're just in a stage where I don't think you're going to see a lot of progress on that.
Right.
3 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, who knows? I mean, China's an enormous market, and we want to be in it. We see there was PayPal. They just finally issued the licensing requirements for domestic payments companies in China.
Right.
And now they're getting about to issue those requirements for a non-Chinese payments entity to be able to compete.
Right.
And the first requirement is you have a less than 50% ownership.
Right.
You partner with a local Chinese company. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
I just think the pace that will be allowed in is slower than most people would imagine.
Right. Question here?
Hi, John and John. I'm Catherine Posey, Tech by Superwomen founder and visiting from Alaska. And my question has to do with location. And how, in your opinion, is location-based data going to change the retail experience beyond, let's say, geo-targeted ads? And what will be the challenge for retailers and making sure it doesn't seem intrusive to the consumer when targeting them?
Well, here's the kinds of things that we're seeing in discussions with retailers, because retailers realize that location's critical. So a major anchor tenant retailer, and they're an anchor tenant in the malls they're in. They say that 75 to 80% of the traffic in that mall comes to their store, and less than 10% of the people buy something. So they come into the store, 90% go out. They're saying, well, why can't we offer an ad network? Why can't we give coupons, like a Groupon or Living Social, to the other retailers in the mall, and then we'll take a cut? It's a way to monetize. It's a way to monetize our traffic. So they came to us and said, can you, with PayPal, can you build a simple ad network so that when people come in, they may scan a barcode or a little, a little code of one form or another. They have their own ways of thinking about it. And so that we can offer immediate coupons to our consumers that'll be value to them. And then obviously they can offer coupons for in the store for their own business. And so I think you're going to see a lot more people trying to create an incentive for consumers to identify themselves when they walk into a shop or when they walk into the store. And the question will be, do you add enough value? Can you create enough value so that you and I say, yeah, it's worth it. I'll check in, if you will. I'll check in a shopping environment the same way I now check in with a Foursquare in a social environment.
Are you seeing the shift in mobile that you referred to before in terms of mobile transactions? Is that shift taking away from your overall, your overall shopping on the internet? I'm losing my. It's like, see, I've got two mics on. They should have put a third. The overall amount of transactions increasing, or is it cannibalizing?
I think that's exactly the wrong way to look at it. And so we are not, because consumers don't view it as one or the other. They want both. And so the truth is, I don't know. Our financial people have run the analysis that says there's incremental growth.
Right.
And what we do know is consumers that use a mobile app are 4 times as engaged as those that don't. Because what they're doing is they're now when they're standing in line in Starbucks or they're in a meeting that they're really bored at, they're now opening up their
half the guys here are
exactly. I hope you're on your eBay app looking.
Yeah.
And we see this, an example, we see this in the motors category. There's a lot of motors enthusiasts out there. We're now selling 2,600 cars a week on the eBay Motors mobile app.
You're selling 2,600 cars a week on a phone.
On a phone. And that's simply because people are just browsing while they're waiting.
Well, we are unfortunately out of time, but please join me in thanking John for sharing some of his insight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.